So it's been about 8 days since we arrived at the Helena Airport. It's Thursday, July 26th. I kind of tried to take some time since getting back on Saturday to rest up, kind of recuperate, decompress a little bit from the trip, and I wanted to kind of just do a brief update, I guess, or maybe a reflection about the trip. As a brief update, my ribs, they're still pretty tender. I've got some bruising there. Coughing is a little painful, just have to kind of hold it. I've kind of developed a newfound hatred for sneezing. That's just awful. But I'm on the mend. I'm doing better with that. My leg, it's not as bad as it was, but I'm still dealing with it. I went to see an orthopedic specialist on Monday about it. Come to find out that I've got pretty severe tendonitis, a lot of inflammation in there, so they put me in for referral for about 2 to 4 weeks of physical therapy, so I start that Monday. They're going to be doing phonophoresis using dexametor, I think it is. It's a steroid gel, so basically they're just going to use the ultrasound to help get that steroid in on the muscle and tendon there that's inflamed and just try to help it heal quicker. Since getting back, I've been commuting still to and from work every day, just kind of taking it a little easier and trying not to flare things up any more than I have to. So that's kind of just an update on how things have gone. Like I said, we kind of wanted to do kind of a reflection about the trip. I learned a lot about doing a trip like this, about going and doing the Tour Divide, but about a bikepacking trip, that's going to last a week or so, where every day you're getting up and you're doing the same thing, and you get to the end of the day and you're exhausted, and you go to bed and you get up the next day and you do the same thing. And I learned a lot about that. I learned a lot about my gear. I learned a lot about the situations you get into in a trip like this. So, one of the first lessons I learned is going into this trip, I tried to be light with my gear and everything, but I don't think I was light enough. I kind of played and erred on the side of caution, and I think it kind of came to bite me a little bit, where maybe I was a little heavier than I should have been. Perfect example, I had a Anchor, like 26,000 milliamp hour battery pack. I think it had 4 USB ports, and I mean, it worked great, but for how often stayed in a hotel or had a place where I could actually charge everything up, it was a little overkill, so that was kind of a little heavy. Going into the trip, I had a sheet that I actually took with me, which I never even looked at. On that sheet, I had pretty much every bit of gear weighed, so I kind of had an idea of where my bike and backpack and all that was weight-wise. So I haven't actually done this yet, but I'm probably going to take a look at that and start kind of analyzing and seeing if I were to do something like this again, where can I cut the weight, what's necessary, what's not. I brought a bunch of gear that I never wore. I wore the same kit the whole time. So, I had a whole outfit that took up space and was weight and I didn't really need. Brought a windbreaker that, no, I didn't bring a windbreaker. I brought one jacket, and I used it the first day because it was kind of cool in Banff, but I didn't use it after that. So I learned a lot about the gear and the weight management, and it's good to err on the side of caution, the whole Boy Scout thing, but probably need to look at things a little closer next time, I think. Second thing I learned is make sure you're prepared, be it physically, your education, your mental. Make sure your equipment's all prepared and ready and right. on this trip, I dealt with a saddle sore on my right side, and then about 3 to 4 days in, started having the issues with my leg, with the inflammation. And, you know, I almost kind of wonder or attribute that to one leg being longer than another, and maybe the saddle fit was wrong, even though it felt good, you know, on some of these longer rides I'd done. It could be the crank arms need to be slightly different lengths. There are a number of factors there. My shoes, they worked great, my feet felt great. It's just, I was dealing with stuff on the right side, and I think in the end that made it a very difficult trip. So, you know, make sure your gear's right. Physically, I don't think I trained enough. I got my weight down, which was a big thing for me. I felt like I was pretty conditioned. For about a month or two before, I tried to go on some long rides, you know, on the weekends, but with commuting every day, the evenings, I really didn't feel like getting on the bike and doing, you know, 3, 4, or 5 hours. And so, you know, that was kind of a detriment to me. I got out there on the trails, and even day one, I just noticed it, and it was like, I tried to put power in, and my legs felt good, but my legs just kind of said nope, and just kind of slow as a result. So probably a little more physical training would be a good thing. Mentally and educationally, it was a mental struggle. There were a lot of times that I really uttered the phrase, I'm in a bad place right now, you know, and I was just quiet, and I made it known to the people I was with that, hey, if I'm quiet, it's because I'm not in a good place right now, and I just need to kind of battle those demons. And I think part of that is maybe I should have studied the route a little bit more, known kind of the distances, the elevations, the climbs, all that kind of stuff. I think if you go in prepared a little more, you can kind of be a little mentally stronger, and that was kind of a detriment to me. So that's kind of the second thing I learned. Third thing I learned is if you're going in a group, know what the people in your group, know what their take is on the ride. You know, we kind of went into this ride, there was 3 of us, and the general thought was, hey, this is going to be a good trip, and make memories, all that kind of stuff, you know, it's going to be a great group effort. Well, it kind of became apparent day one, when I had my mechanical problems, that only one of the other people in our group seemed to care about, you know, this whole group mentality. And then when got to Eureka and had the injury and stuff, the next day, you know, we kind of split up, and you know, people have their own goals, the things they want to do, and I understand that, but you can have a very bad dynamic if you don't understand what each person in the group, what their desire is. And so if you're going to go in a group, make it known. I think that way it can be a better experience for everyone. You know, I had a great time. Got to feel a lot of bonding time with my father, which is what I had hoped for kind of in the beginning. But, you know, if you're going to go in a group, definitely make sure that the personalities and, you know, what you're doing are going to kind of meld well together. So that's kind of the third thing I learned. Kind of the fourth thing I learned, and it's actually something that came from, I believe, the third day from Fernie to Holland Lake, or not Holland Lake, to Wigwam. It was hot. I mean, that was kind of the story of the whole trip. It was hot, and there was one mountain pass we were going up, and I was like out of water, and I was really, really struggling, and we finally found this bridge, and nice running stream, so we got our Sawyers out, went down there, and I was just sitting on the rocks, just splashing water up in my face, trying to cool off and trying to get back to a good place, because I was in a really bad place. And I just happened to glance down and notice this rock that really caught my attention. So I don't know if you can actually see it, but I grabbed this rock, and when I got the chance, I actually wrote on it. It says TD 2018 Overcome, and it's underlined. So I kind of kept this on me at all times, and anytime that I kind of got to a bad place and I really was struggling, especially those last 4 days with the pain and everything, I just kind of reminded myself of this, that you know, be a little stronger and kind of overcome things, the battles, the pains, physical. You know, it's all temporary. You just kind of push through it and battle through it. So that trip really kind of pushed me physically and mentally and emotionally, and I overcame. We did about 565 miles, I think, over 8 days, which really wasn't too bad. So that was kind of the next thing I learned. Geez, there were so many things that I learned. I'm probably going to do another video here when Stan gets back in. He's somewhere between Minnesota and here. He's supposed to arrive Monday. Bike flights took forever to ship out from the bike shop in Helena. So he should be in Monday, and I'm probably going to do a video kind of showcasing all the equipment, all the gear that I had, you know, down to who it was, and what was good about it, what was bad about it, etc. It was a really good trip. It was really a struggle, but I'm on the mend. Got some bike packing trips here in the future, kind of locally. One interesting thing, Wednesday when I got to the hotel in Helena, after we got a rental car from the airport, I was like, there's no way I'm ever doing this again. Why in the hell did I do this? This was stupid. And then by Thursday afternoon, Friday, it was like, I could do it again, you know. So I may go up and do this again. I don't know. See how my leg does and everything. It was a fun time, especially the last 4 days of riding, and then the last 2 days of touristing in Helena. That was probably the best part of the trip. You know, the time in Canada was great too. It was just a struggle all 8 days. So, you know, it's been a week. I've had some time to think about things. There's probably more to discuss and talk about, and maybe I'll do another video about that. But those are kind of the things that are kind of directly on my mind as far as the trip is concerned. So, try and get this posted here today, and hopefully have some photos and video to kind of showcase here in the next week or two, and then also be able to showcase Stan when he finally gets back.